guys, Juan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else, where we teach you not to rise to the occasion, but what we do teach is for you to fall to your level of preparation. I said fall to your level of preparation. Back for another Make Your Move Monday! Make Your Move Monday kickoff question. First one, June, first one to kick off the summer. Let's get right into it. All right, now, as always, I'll be diving deeper into this in the live stream in about an hour or two from me recording this, so stay tuned. The question is straight up, what's your biggest flaw? What is the biggest flaw? Now, tomorrow on Top 5 Tuesday, I'll break down some of my biggest flaws when it comes to the people who are closest to me and what they had expressed to me. But me personally, this is me and me having this conversation and you asking you to do the same thing, where it's you personally. You got to get really personal, in depth when it comes to this question. What is your biggest flaw? And then the second question after that is, how is it advantageous to you now? How are you using it to your benefit? All right, so before I answer it personally, let me repeat it here so I'm on the record so you hear me loud and motherfucking clear. All right, what is your biggest flaw and how are you using it to your advantage to make it so it's beneficial to you? Because guess what? When it comes to your flaws that you are admitting to yourself, no one else is telling you. I'm talking about you getting personal with you and saying, these are the things that have happened in my life that have kept me from the things that I've wanted. When you start getting personal like that, then the biggest breakthroughs and the biggest insights, and you start finding people coming into your life that are here to serve you because you've done the work and recognize the biggest flaw in yourself. All right, so all that being said, the biggest flaw I have by far is that I make the assumption that every single person out there cares as much as I do. All right, and I'll dive into this a little bit later in a more drawn out format when I go through the article, but one of my favorite books is West by West. It's the autobiography of Jerry West, the late Jerry West, legendary for the Lakers. The NBA logo is made by Jerry West. The person on the NBA logo is Jerry West, right? And I read his book when I was literally had absolutely nothing. Hit rock bottom in Ocean City, Maryland, trying to start up a team, sitting there by the boardwalk reading this book. And it hit me because the very first part that he started his book with was, he says, my greatest weakness by far, greatest fault by far, greatest flaw by far, however you want to say it, is that I assume everyone cares as much as I do. That thing was stapled into my mind, because as I'm putting this thing together and I'm thinking about how much I care, I'm assuming everyone else cares as much as I do. All right, so here's the next question. How is it advantageous to me now? Speaking of reading, speaking of personal development, speaking of constantly developing both personally and professionally, another book I want to point you in the direction of is Rex Ryan's Play Like You Mean It. This was back when he was flying high as the head coach of the New York Jets, right? And so, because he was so popular, it was around the time I graduated college, I wanted to break into the business myself. Now, he's not the only one to have said this, but it's common among thought leaders, it's common amongst educators, common amongst coaches and business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all that kind of stuff, which is the phrase, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. All right, that is a way of life. That's a philosophy. That's something that is adopted by all of the successful leaders out there, the real leaders. All right, so when it comes to my biggest flaw, which I assume that people care as much as I do, I use it to my advantage by only putting people around me that have adopted the phrase and lived the mantra. Live the mantra is they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you develop that mindset, when you develop that philosophy, then my employee development workshops become more valuable. Then my books, my intellectual property, me doing the play-by-play for college football games, and me being a part, me interviewing some incredible leaders and getting some insight from them and learning how to run all of the stuff that you see around right on this channel. By the way, like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. All of the stuff that you see about me when you look me up, you start to see, okay, he's using the fact that he assumes everyone cares as much as he do to put himself around people that really believe in that philosophy of they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's how it's advantageous to me. So the question is, again, I repeat, what's your biggest flaw? What's the biggest flaw that you personally will admit to yourself right now? I'm not talking about help. I'm not talking about, again, we'll get into tomorrow, getting around people that or asking people that know you the best and all that. But today it's about you and you, and really asking yourself how that biggest flaw, whatever it may be, is you being used to your benefit, and then you move forward in that way. All right, so all that being said, like I said, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come at you every single day, multiple times a day, doing major things. We're going from doing big things to major things. All right, so main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm doing, it's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.